You know, I work with editors and reporters who would argue with me on a regular basis about my use of the word phenom. Now, phenom for a journalist is short for phenomenal, although in one case one of my editors said a reader called up saying she thought that the word was making fun of an athlete. Far from it. Now, in the 1970s and 80s, how many phenoms did we have in female track and field in the United States? Well, there was only one, and we're going to tell her story. More drama followed this later, lady than a young and a restless character. Of course, it has to be Mary Decker. Now, for a lot of people, Mary Decker is the greatest long-distance female runner in United States history, and it's hard to argue because the results are there. Now, Mary Teresa Slaney, former Tab, Nee Decker, was born August 4th, 1958. She is a now retired American middle distance runner after about 4 decades in the sport. Now, during her career, she won gold medals in the 1,500 meters and 3,000 meters at the prestigious 1983 World Championships in Finland, and was the world record holder in the mile, 5,000 meters, and 10,000 meters. In total, she set 17 official and unofficial world records, including being the first woman in history to break the mile for 4:20. Now, 4:20 for a female to run the mile is, when you look at body mass and speed, that's again comparable when Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. Now, she also set 36 U.S. national records at distances ranging from 800 meters to 10,000 meters, and has held the U.S. record in the mile, 2,000 meters, and 3,000 meters since the early 1980s, while her 1,500 meters record stood for 32 years. In 2003, she was inducted into the National Track and Field Hall of Fame. Now, born in Bunvale, New Jersey, very beautiful community. A decade later, she moved her family moved to Garden Grove in Southern California, where Decker started running. A year later, age 11, she won her first local competition. Now, she joined her high school athletics club and a local track club and completely immersed herself in running, for which she would pay an injury-laden price later in her career. Now, a lot of track coaches have pointed to her as when athletes do not allow themselves to recover, especially at an early age. Now, get this. At age 12, she completed a marathon and 4 middle and long-distance races in 1 week, ending the week with an appendectomy operation. So, I'm telling you. Now, in her early teens, Decker was already recognized as a world-class runner. Unable to attend the 72 Olympics as she was too young, the pigtail 89-pound 14-year-old nicknamed Little Mary Decker won international acclaim in 73 with a win in the 800 meters at a U.S.-Soviet meet in Minsk, beating the reigning Olympic silver medalist Najoli Sabatai. Now, by the end of 72, she was ranked first in the U.S. and fourth in the world in the 800. In 73, she gained her first world record, running an indoor mile in 4:40.1. By 74, Decker was the world indoor record holder with 2:02.4 for 880 yards and 2:01.8 for 800 meters. Now, by the end of 74, she had developed a case of the muscle condition, compartment syndrome. This resulted in a series of injuries, which meant that she did not compete in the 76 Olympics in Montreal because of stress fractures in her lower leg. In 78, she had an operation to try to cure compartment syndrome, which kept her out of competition for a period. After recovering from surgery, she spent 2 seasons at the University of Colorado at Boulder on a track scholarship. In 79, she became the second American woman, the first was of course Francie Leroux, to break the 4:30 mile in American record time. She was also the first woman to break the 4:20 barrier for the mile in 1980 when she ran it in a speedy 4:17.55. However, this time was never ratified by the IAAF. She did not compete in the 80 Moscow Olympics because of the American boycott. Now, in 84, she married fellow American distance runner Ron Tabb, but the couple divorced in 1983. Now, 82, under her name Mary Tabb, she ran the mile in 4:18.08, breaking the official record of 4:20.89 by the Soviet Lyudmila Veleskova. This time, of course, was ratified. Now, in 82, Decker Tabb set 6 world records at distances ranging from a mile to 10,000 meters. She eventually received the James E. Sullivan Award as a top amateur athlete in the States. Now, the following year, she achieved a double-decker winning, of course, like we mentioned, the 1500 and 3000 at the World Championships in Helsinki. Her history of easy wins in the United States left her tactical abilities suspect in Helsinki, as he chose not to run in close order because so few athletes could keep up with her, a situation that the Soviet runners hoped to use to their advantage. Her wins against the Soviet world record holders proved the redemption of her competitive guile. After a double win, she won the Jesse Owens Award for U.S. Track and Field and the Sports Illustrated Magazine Award as Sports Person of the Year. Now, shortly before the Worlds, Decker improved the U.S. 1500 meters record to 3:57.12 in Stockholm on July 26, 1983. The record stood for 32 years until Shannon Roebury ran 3:56.29 in 2015. Now, entering the 84 Olympics, 3,000 meters would be the first long-distance race of that sort at the Olympics. Now, they were held in L.A., and the big rivals included barefoot runner Zola Budd, representing Great Britain, but originally from South Africa, but she moved to UK to explore a career outside of apartheid. Now, in the race, she had been running side by side with Decker for 3 laps and moved ahead in an attempt to put pressure on Budd. In an attempt to put pressure on Budd, Decker remained close in a crowded space. Now, Decker stood on Budd and shortly after collided with the barefoot runner and fell spectacularly to the curb, injuring her hip. As a result, Mary Decker did not finish the race, which was won by Mircea Pușa of Romania, while Budd finished 7th. Booed out of the arena, of course. Now, Decker was carried off the track in tears by her boyfriend and later husband, British discus thrower Richard Slaney. At a press conference, she said that Budd was to blame for the collision, but of course she wasn't. While it's generally the trailing athlete's responsibility to avoid contact with the runner ahead, it is also an accepted convention among most long-distance runners that the leader be a full stride ahead before cutting in. International track officials initially disqualified Budd for obstruction, but she was later reinstated just 1 hour later once officials had viewed films of the race. Now, despite being behind Budd, Decker's claim that Budd had bumped in her leg was supported by a number of sports journalists. Except the Americans, yes, but the worldwide press knew that she didn't do anything wrong. Again, the claim was not accepted by the director of the games or the AAF. Now, Decker and Budd next met in July 85 in a 3,000 meters race at the venerable Crystal Palace National Sports Centre in London, England. Decker won the race and Budd finished in 4th. After the race, the two women shook hands and made up. Decker later went on the record as claiming that she was unfairly robbed of the LA 3,000 meters gold medal by Budd, but said many years after the event, "The reason I fell, some people think she tripped me deliberately. I happen to know that wasn't the case at all. The reason I fell is because I am and was very inexperienced in running in a pack." Now, I tend to agree because her vertical style wasn't one that was conducive to expansion or contraction towards the front or the top 3 during a sprint by the lead runner. She was basically an aggressive vertical runner. Not anything bad about that, but the Europeans, the Africans, the Eastern Europeans run in a certain method, and she didn't have enough international experience. You see the 3,000 meter race, literally that was running the pack. Now, despite the loss in LA, she had a successful 85 season, winning 12-mile and 3,000 meter races in the European athletics calendar, which included a new official world record for the mile of 4:16.71 in Zurich. Because Natalia Ardiomova's 4:15.18 had not then been ratified by the IAAF. Now, sit down its race in 85, her time has only been better on 4 other occasions. That race in Zurich also matched her with both of other principal athletes from the Olympic race, Slaney vanquishing both Pușa and Budd, who themselves ran times that until July 9, 2017, also ranked in the top 10 of all time. Golden time for women's track and field in that era, of course. Now, she sat out the 86 season to give birth to her only child, daughter Ashley Lynn, but missed the 87 season due to injury. She did qualify for the 88 Summer Olympics in Seoul, but failed to win a medal. She did not qualify for the 92 Games. However, by 1996, at the age of 37, She did qualify for the 5,000 meters at Atlanta, but a urine test taken in June at the Olympic trials showed a testosterone to epitosterone T ratio greater than allowable maximum of 6:1. At the time of the positive test, Decker was being coached by former track star Alberto Salazar. Now, Decker and her lawyers contended that the T ratio test is unreliable for women, especially women in their late 30s or older who are taking birth control pills. In the meantime, Decker was eliminated in the heats at the Olympics. Now, June 97, the IAAF banned Decker from competition. In September 99, a US ATF panel reinstated her. The IAAF cleared her to compete, but took the case to arbitration. In April 99, the arbitration panel ruled against her, after which the IAAF, through a retroactive ban, even though she was cleared to compete, stripped her of a silver medal she won at the 5,000 meters at the 97 World Indoors. Now, in April 99, she filed suit against both the IAAF and the U.S. Olympic Committee, which administered the test, arguing that the test is flawed and cannot distinguish between androgens caused by the use of banned substances and androgens resulting from use of birth control pills. The court ruled that it had no jurisdiction, a decision that was held up on appeal. Now, the T ratio test has seen its standards tightened to a 4:1 ratio instead of the previous 6:1 ratio. And laboratories now also run a carbon isotope radio test, or CIR, if the ratio is unusually high. Now, Mary had suffered many injuries in her career. Now, especially in her later career, she suffered a series of stress-induced fractures. Now, after loss of her 1999 legal case, she agreed to have a series of more than 30 orthopedic procedures, mainly on her legs and feet, in an attempt to enable her to run competitively in marathons. However, the surgery increased the recurrence of the problems. As a result, she retired with her husband to a 55-acre property in Eugene, Oregon, where, of course, she jogs every day. So let's recap the big stats for Mary Decker. Again, races from 800 to 5,000 meters. Club was Athletics west of Eugene. Personal bests: 800 meters, 156.90, 1985. 1,500, 1983, 357.12. Mile, 416.71, 85. 3,000 meters, 825.83, 85. 5,000 meters, 1506.53, 85. And 10,000 meters, 31.35.3 in 82. Now, representing the states, big medals, World Championships, of course, the Helsinki double, still one of the greatest athletic achievements of all time, and the Pan Ams, involving Canada, of course, and all the Pan American countries, gold in the 1,500 meters. Now, further stats. Again, Pan Ams, World Championships, Olympic Games, the DNF, but she did 8:44.32 in the heat. 85 Grand Prix final, first in Rome, Italy, 8:46.38 for 3,000. Olympic Games, South Korea, 8 to the 1,500, 10 to the 3,000. Grand Prix final, Barcelona, won silver in the mile, 4:28.35. Olympic Games, Atlanta, 21st in the 5,000 meters, 15:41.30. And World Indoors, again, got second, 1,500 meters, but again, retroactive disqualification, 4:05.22. Now, elliptical cycling, she's done well at the World Championships there in San Diego, second, third, and second between 2012 and 15. Palomar Mountain, and times, of course, 151.34, 145.27, 131.22, and 130.54. So, again, an amazing career, possibly a top 10 female athlete of the 1980s, for sure. Not too many household names in the United States and Canada for long-distance track and field. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a true story. As popular as Serena Williams is, and Biles, our gymnast, and different people, Barry Decker, boy, she was very popular because she looked like the American dream. Nice-looking lady, good personality. Personally, as a Canadian journalist, I had the opportunity to cover her. And what was kind of bizarre about this, ladies and gentlemen, my father-in-law hated my guts. Well, my first wife's father-in-law. And I picked up the Sports Illustrated magazine of the rematch in '85, and literally I was at his place, and it was on the table, and he threw it in my face. And I said, well, one of these days, I said, maybe I'm going to do a story about them and mention you in it. Well, this fucker died last year, and I'm glad he's dead. So, Ray Sullivan, this is for you. And next time you throw something in my face, it might come back to haunt you in hell, because Mary Decker and Bud and Puccia, what a great era. Just because you didn't like me and didn't like what I was reading doesn't take that away. Mary Decker was an inspiration to tons of people, and we continue to look to her as the standard bearer of that type of body type and what they call energy. She could have been a multi-millionaire. All she had to do was win one gold medal, and she was that close to being the richest and the most successful female athlete in the 1980s. But when Joan Benoit won the marathon, my dad always said, that could have been Mary Decker. That could have been the level of success. But her races, go on YouTube and see her races, ladies and gentlemen. She was a killer. She was a great white shark on the track, literally. She ran at her own pace. She ran people in the ground, and it just basically she couldn't run in the back. That's what killed her in '84. Thanks for listening. Bye.